All right,
Yeah, that's a new feature. You got to accept the fact that it's recording. Sorry.
okay, I just did. Okay, the meeting is called to order at 7 o'clock. We'll have the seating of the alternates. Tonight will be Kevin Reed. So someone could nominate him.
I
for
nominate Kevin.
a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of Kevin Reed sitting tonight as an alternate, say aye.
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 Okay. Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is the legal notice. If you would read that, Jeremy, please.
Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a regular meeting at 7 p.m. on June 14th, 2021 via Zoom. Consider the following application ZBA 21-006 Michael Eppright Esquire, 145 Main Street, to reduce the side setback from 25 to 10 and to increase the lot coverage from 10 to 12.64 to construct a 24 by 36 accessory building with detached garage, map 6A, block 56, lot 27. And application ZBA 21-007 Philip Healy, 63 Skyline, to increase the lot coverage from 10 to 12 for a 420 square foot pool and a 592 square foot deck, map 18, block 44, lot 48. That was published in the River East on the 4th and the 11th of June.
Mhm. Okay, next is the approval of the minutes from May 10th of our regular meeting. I'm making, everyone is familiar with them and has read them. So is there any comments or corrections?
I have
If
nothing.
not, I will take a motion to accept or reject the minutes. Okay,
I'll make a
not all
motion
at
to
once,
accept them.
people, just,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 10th. I'll second.
okay. Okay, with the motion seconded, all those in favor of approving the minutes from May 10th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, unanimous, motion is carried. Okay, I would next like to read a statement for the purpose of tonight's meeting. Okay, it will take about a minute. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to review requests for variance to the town's zoning regulations. A variance is the authority extended to the owner to use his property in a manner forbidden by the zoning regulations. In order for the zoning board of appeals to grant a variance, the applicant must show a true hardship. And the land must be unusually disadvantaged by the regulation for which the variance is sought. Verification of a true hardship is the legal requirement for which a variance is granted. Definition of a hardship is a particular or unique feature of a particular piece of property that prevents the landowner from making a reasonable use of the property in conformance with the existing zoning regulation. It is the goal of the board granting any variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the regulations and will not be adverse to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to public welfare. And with that being said, we are now ready to hear from the first applicant, ZBA 21-006, a Michael Eppright. Is he?
I'm here, Matthew. Can you hear me and see me okay?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, so I'll see if I can, well, I don't know why I'm not being observable.
I've got you, Michael.
Okay, so, hi guys, how you doing tonight? Thanks
Good,
for
how are you?
hearing the application. Before I get started, I just wanted to do a couple housekeeping matters. I had sent a notice out to Jeremy, coached me up a little bit in terms of the notice requirements for the abutters. I had sent a notice out on May 5th to the abutters that are listed on the return, which is in the file. I also included a letter basically indicating to them to contact the office if they needed any information, or my office. I didn't hear from any of the neighbors, any of the abutters. So I don't know if anything came in outside of my knowledge, but that notice did go out. The green cards are back at the office, the building office. Also, there was a sign posted as required under the zoning regulations, under the application regulations. And that sign's been up on the lawn for a few days now, and the return of that signage was also sent to the building office. So all of that should be in the file. I think in terms of foundation, we should be good with the application. With regards to the application itself, and getting into what Matthew was just talking about, Jolene Geison's the owner of the property. She has a non-conforming lot in East Hampton on Main Street. It's at 145 Main Street. And many of the parcels along Main Street are old. They predate zoning. They're non-conforming in nature. So by their very definition, they become something that is a unique hardship and something that it just exists as a hardship. To apply the zoning regulations to those particular lots would be unfair to the property owners, which is the entire reason why we have the variance process. The reason why is because the lots are narrow. In this particular case, the lot's very narrow. And it also has unusual sidelines. They're angulated to Main Street. So it kind of, in effect, makes the lot even more narrow in terms of its buildable areas. If you look at the map that Jeremy has pulled up, that's the site plan that we submitted. And you can see by the nature of the existing improvements on the property, there are already pretty much everything that's out there is in violation of the zoning regulations, quote unquote. It kind of almost has to be, because if you tried to make that fit into the zoning regulations, giving its non-conforming nature, you would have to put all of that improvement into that little building rectangle, and that would be hard to do. Everything would be aligned. It would look really funny. That's why when you go down Main Street in East Hampton, you'll see pretty much all of the properties, all of those non-conforming properties that are historical, like the ones that the Geisens have, including their neighbor to the, I think it would be the one that's on the bottom part of the screen there, Joanne Heather Thomas. You could see one of their structures actually encroaches over the line a little bit by agreement, right over the boundary line. That's pretty much how all those properties out there are improved. The reason why is because they want to have some open space in the middle of the lot, which is kind of consistent with, you know, having a yard and things of that nature. So that's the way that historically the properties were developed. What Mr. Geisen's looking to do is he wants to add a garage structure. You can see it in the gray shaded area. And it's a carriage house, he's calling it. He's going to build it. The fascia of the building is going to be consistent with his house. And that's what he wants to do basically for parking cars and that kind of thing. So he proposes it on the side of the property. He kept it off of the property line enough where he can get around it to do maintenance. And it's not on the property line. So that makes sense. But he did try to push it over as far as he could and still have some, and still line it up with the existing driveway, which you could see on the map by the dotted line. But he's asking for a variance of the 15 feet away from that building rectangle towards I think that is the easterly sideline of the property. Jeremy, is that the easterly sideline? Right over there on that end, the bottom part of the map. I think that's
It's south.
south. So that
Yep.
he wants to push the building over to the southerly property line and still keep it off the boundary by 15 feet. And that gives him a little bit of a view from his pool back to Main Street. It lines it up kind of nicely with Main Street vis-a-vis the rest of the structures on the property. And it still leaves some space for where he has an existing retaining wall. And so that's what he's proposing. The other part of the application with his proposal is the coverage. So under the zoning regulations, the maximum coverage is 10%. The existing coverage that's out there right now, I want to say is, so if you do it without the swimming pool added in, the existing coverage is 10.23. So they're already over the maximum coverage. Query if you need to count the area of the swimming pool, because that isn't, it's not an impervious surface. It can take water. So I wasn't sure if that area needed to be included or not. So what I did was I had the surveyor present the site plan in alternative format. It shows it with the swimming pool area and without the swimming pool area. With the swimming pool area included, the proposed variance that would be 12.64% coverage of the lot. And that's not really a lot of square feet when you consider the size of the lot. This lot is very small to begin with. So it's a 36,815 square foot lot. So it's not a very big lot. You're talking a matter of 25 or 30 square feet when we're talking these percentages. So it's not a lot of square footage. Without the pool, it's a 10.5 coverage. So he's just barely over the regulations right now. And so what we would ask the board to consider is the proposal that's in front of you to allow Mr. Geisen to put up his garage. And to do that with a non-conforming lot, we would need a couple of those variances. We were conscientious about trying to build in a manner that's consistent with the area. It'll present well with the area. It doesn't really impact any of the other properties. And that's the presentation. That's pretty much what I have to say about it, unless you guys have questions.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. That was a good presentation. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have read your application, okay? And you were the one that filled it out, right, Michael?
That's correct.
Okay. You list the hardship, okay, as it's not unique to the area. Area lots. Area lots along this part of Main Street are all non-conforming as to the width, okay? Now, I'm going to read to you, and please bear with me, okay? And I'm going to read to you the definition from our regulations of what a non-conforming lot is. A non-conforming lot is a lot, the area, dimensions, or location of which a lawful prior, which I apologize, which was lawful prior to the adoption, revision, or amendment of the zoning regulations, but which falls by reason of such adoption, revision, or amendment to conform to the present requirements of the zoning district. Now, I may be painting with a big brush, but what that's telling me is a non-conforming lot was conforming at one time, and now today, because of zoning changes, the lot is grandfathered in. And like I said, I'm painting with a big brush. And I agree 100% with everything that you said. But I think in looking at your plan and the site plan here, I think the reason why you're so close to the line is not the width of the lot, which is 115 feet, okay? This lot has a retaining wall, which comes from the north side all the way over about I'm going to say 10 to 15 feet from your proposed area. Correct? Am I correct on that, Mike?
Yeah, the retaining wall that's shown on the map, correct? I'm following you so
Okay.
far.
So basically saying, okay, that's pretty much the only place that you can place the garage without removing the retaining wall, which is, by the way, my compliments, because I can only do drive-bys, was very nicely landscaped. Okay, so the only place really you can place this and still have access to the swimming pool, should such a thing, a vehicle had to get down in there, is where you're placing this.
There's enough space between the barn. So let me back up for a second. So we covered a couple of different things. The first thing was about a non-conforming lot. So addressing that, you're correct in everything you said about a non-conforming lot. In this
Yeah.
particular instance, this lot is not non-conforming because of a revision to the zoning regulations. It really doesn't make a difference, frankly, because it's kind of like what I said before, but I kind of said it quickly. So let me reiterate. This lot existed prior to the zoning regulations. So when the zoning regulations were enacted and the current regulations, they require a lot of the width of 150 feet. If we had 150 feet on this lot, that would be another 40 feet wide or 35 feet wide. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So because it's non-conforming in nature, in this particular instance, it's non-conforming because of its width, and therefore we're talking about a variance for a sideline. That's the reason why. The zoning regulations are, it would be unfair to require people with non-conforming lots to comply with the zoning regulations for someone who had a 2-acre lot, for instance, because it's kind of like would be tantamount to a governmental taking if you force those particular property owners to comply with what the other at-large property owners can comply with, because they just don't have as much land. So the question is, why don't they have enough land? Was it a self-created hardship? In this case, it was not self-created. The Geissens have bought a property that's non-conforming and existed before the zoning regulations went into effect in the town of East Hampton back into the 1800s. So what you have here is a situation where they certainly qualify under the statutory criteria for a variance, both in terms of a unique hardship and a not self-created hardship. So getting back to what you were talking about in terms of, so once you go through that threshold, now the question becomes, okay, you're eligible for a variance. So now what is the variance that we're going to grant? And then it becomes somewhat subjective, okay? Once you satisfy the statutory criteria, I think it's a question of what are we dealing with, the factual circumstances for this unique property that, and how are we going to apply it? Yes, if he was to move the lot, if he was to move the proposed structure to the north and get it back into the building rectangle, he could comply with the current zoning regulations. That's an absolute truth, Matt. But what
But
it overlooks,
that's what I'm saying. Your hardship is the retaining wall, not necessarily the width of the lot. If the
It's not what-
retaining, and I'm not suggesting remove the retaining wall. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying just your hardship. Okay, you need to be placed there. As opposed to farther north.
well, so I think what you're asking me is, at least this is what I'm hearing. So if I'm not saying this right, then correct me. But I think what you're saying is there a possibility to make this lot conforming? Even, I mean, not conforming, excuse me. Is there a possibility to do the structure without having to get a zoning, a variance for the zoning regulations?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying what I am saying is the logical place would be right here where it is positioned.
Well, absolutely, because right, I mean, so now I think I'm understanding what you're saying, right? So alternative, so we looked at alternatives, right, as part of the site development plan, and if we push it over, not only is that really about the only spot it could go, but on top of that, it wouldn't line up with the driveway anymore, which is an issue for my client and the property owner, and it would also block the view completely from the pool to the street, which is 100% undesirable for them as the property owner.
And I agree with you on that this is the position. So therefore, I'm saying what you have on the application, and I want to get this right for the record. The hardship really is the retaining wall and not the configuration of the lot, the narrowness of the lot.
It's a little bit of both. I would say it's a
All right,
little
I'm
bit
not
of
gonna,
both.
I'm not gonna argue.
And the shed, and by the way, the shed that's shown to that would be the east of the proposed structure, that's going to be removed. I just had them leave it in there because it's an existing condition, but
Yeah.
that's not going to be there after post-construction theoretically.
Is that
If
considered in its lot coverage?
Over this. I think we're gonna give them the variance. Sorry.
Yeah, so I would ask our board what they think and what their thoughts are on this.
Here's a question. My question is, the property owner is not the applicant here. What does it say on the application as far as who's applying for this? Who's applying for this
In the past years, we've obviously had lawyers that have
represented?
represented the homeowner and stuff but this is kind of a question for Jeremy, I guess. In this situation, Mike is representing the homeowner solely with his name on the variance. Is this okay, Jeremy?
Yes, they have signed the application form as the homeowners. They have hired Mr. or Attorney Epwright to represent them. So him being the applicant is perfectly acceptable. They've given him the
Okay.
authority to.
Okay.
This is the first time this has ever come up like this. So that's why we were asking.
Yeah, we usually see homeowners, you're right. But this is routinely done at P&Z and wetlands. So not a concern.
Is Kevin Geisen an applicant in this? And Jolene Geisen? Are they together at the old Geisen house?
Yeah, the answer to that is yes, but Jolene is the actual property owner on title, so that's why it was handled that way.
Okay.
It's a little bit.
And I have another question. What's in front of the ramp there? Is that a garage or just a house where the driveway ends? If you go,
right.
Yeah, right
So
there.
that
What is
structure,
Kevin, I can answer that question.
Is that living space?
that is,
That's a
that's
floor.
actually a floor with a basement underneath it.
Hmm.
That's part of the house.
Right. So. So why wouldn't it be there?
That's part of the living structure. So right now,
I
that
mean, why
exists-
wouldn't you just do an L shape? Would that keep you away from the line enough?
I don't think that's what they're proposing. They want to detach.
I know that. I know they're not deposing that. I can see that.
I don't really understand your question. So basically.
No, I mean, how much space is from the southern border to the far side of the living space? Like where the ramp mark would be?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to estimate that's probably about 75 or 80 feet. But he wants to do a 3-car garage. They want to do a 3-car garage. So to configure it that way, they'd probably get one, maybe 2 bays on the end of that structure if they butted it up against the house. Plus the house has, so they're rebuilding that end of the house and they're going to be fitting that out and there's going to be windows there. I mean, they just don't want to put it.
So this is not the only place that building can go,
No, it could theoretically go anywhere inside of that building rectangle.
but it would be within,
It would be within the setbacks.
right?
The
If
way
it's
I
inside-
Are any of the neighbors objecting to what they want to do? Because if they're not, then maybe we don't have any argument either.
I haven't heard anything on my end. I'm not sure if Jeremy received anything at the office.
But that's not a reason though. I've seen that
They're
before.
not, but
I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And it's legally not the reason because nobody says something.
I do have another question for Mike. Mike, do you know how many square feet the house is? The living space?
I don't have the field card here at my house, so I don't know the answer to that.
Jeremy,
I
do
can
we have
maybe
any,
find it.
Does Jeremy have any idea what the?
I'm gonna look it up real quick for you. Just give me a moment.
It's just a question because it looks like it could go there and you don't have to have any setbacks.
Well, so I
Immediate
understand that. I understand that, Kevin. So I sometimes get into this situation, right? And this is how I generally respond to it. So, and this is kind of where I thought Matthew was going earlier, okay? And so I'll address it in the context of your question. So once you establish the threshold of whether or not a variance is something that's capable of being granted, right? So is there a unique hardship? Yes or no? Check the box. Is it self-created? Yes or no? Check the box. Once you get through those two analyses, now you're in a situation where, okay, you can grant the variance. The question is, what's the degree of the variance that we're going to grant? And so,
Hardship. Yeah.
so when I look at the way, so to address what you're saying, and what I was trying to say to Matthew before is, okay, well, we can put this structure somewhere where you don't need a variance. Then what you're basically saying, though, is even though you have a non-conforming lot, we're going to force you to comply with the zoning regulations, and therefore we're going to put you at a disadvantage relative to all the other properties in town because they have to complain. We'll put you on equal footing with the other properties in town because everybody has to comply with these zoning regulations, except that swallows up the entire idea behind getting a variance because this property is disadvantaged relative to the other taxpayers, relative to the other properties in town. Because to make them comply with the same zoning regulations would put them at a disadvantage because they would have to construct a barn off the corner of their house and block their swimming pool and all of the things that we're talking about right now. And that's not what the property owner wants. So that's exactly why it's a reason to grant the variance, because the owner's coming to you for relief from the zoning regulations, because to apply them stringently would be unfair to them in their situation.
I think we make a motion to get this thing done.
I'm good.
All right, to go
Mike,
back, to go back to
I have one
I
other
just-
question for you, Mike.
Go ahead.
The existing shed that's on the garage, on the property that you said you're gonna be tearing down, is that included in the lot coverage as we speak?
I don't know the answer, but if I know Pat Benjamin, yes.
So if we'd be taking that down,
That
you're
should reduce the non-conformity, if you will.
of the lot coverage portion of this. The other issue that we are running into is the pool coverage, and I will ask Jeremy this. This has come up numerous times, Jeremy. Even the next applicant is coming up for lot coverage for pools, and we are trying to reorganize the regulations for pools and lot coverage. So if he was to take his shed out and we were not to consider his pool lot coverage, is he over the 10%?
That's
It might-
on here. Pat did that calculation for us. I just got to find that.
It's like halfway down in the zoning data on the right side
Yeah.
there. So maximum lot coverage with the pool is 12.64%. Without the pool, it's 10.5%. So that
Okay.
pool is not very big, and you can see the percentage that it changes that calculation. So yeah, that the shed would matter. The shed probably takes it below 10% if the pool's not included.
So you would probably be at like 10%, which
Be
is
right
the
around there.
Be right around there. Yeah.
so. Did you ever figure out, Jeremy, the square footage of the home?
Yeah. The first floor of the house is 1,095 square feet, and the front porch is 120.
So, quick question. Years ago, there was a ruling that we had. So how many square feet is the living space of the house? The house has got to be bigger than.
Yeah.
1,200 square feet.
When you add it up, it's 16. It's about 1,700 square feet.
So this new garage is being proposed is 864 square feet. Back years ago, we had the regulation that was you weren't allowed to build an accessory building larger than 1/3 the size of the dwelling. And we did change the zoning on that, but it went off acreage of property. But I don't know the acreage of this property, and does he have enough to do that?
It's about an acre.
Yeah, and the way the zoning regulations currently are written, you can have a garage that's, you can have a 3-bay garage on any lot, and then any additional garage bay beyond that needs, I think it's an additional 10,000 square feet of lot area. So he can do it because a 3-bay garage is considered to be 15 by 45, which is bigger than 24 by 36.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Mhm. Is there any more questions or comments? Like I said, my area of concern is the hardship, which I think is belongs with the retaining wall and not so much the boundary. Because you, with the retaining wall there, that is pretty much the only place the garage can be located. And even at that, if the drawing is correct, it's going to be a little bit off from the driveway, so. But if there's no more questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to accept or reject this variance.
Is there anybody in the crowd? Anybody in the crowd?
Oh,
Yeah, we only have Jim Senate. Thank you, Brian. It is a public hearing, but
Yeah.
we only have Jim.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so I will take that motion. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept the variance.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
A second. Okay. I'm going to call on everyone individual. And if because I can't see everyone on my screen. So if I skip someone, please let me know. Margaret, do you vote yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. Kevin, how do you vote?
Yeah,
Yay. George, how do you
Yay.
vote? Yay.
Yay.
Brian, how do you vote?
Yay.
Yay. And I will vote yay also. So that is unanimous, all 5 of us. Michael, could you please pass on to the Geisens our congratulations and wish them luck for us?
I will very much be happy to do that. Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight.
Yeah, and thank you for your presentation. That was good.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Take care. Have a good one. Okay, next on our, excuse me, on our agenda is application, hold on. Got all my paperwork out of here, all scrambled up. Next is application ZBA 21007. Philip Henley. Is that correct?
Healy,
Okay, you're here?
I'm here, present.
Okay, could you tell us about your application, please?
Yeah, well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for hearing my application. We would like to install up in 63 Skyline an fiberglass pool, which equates to about 420 square feet, so not a very big pool at all, with a surrounding Stamp Creek concrete patio, which is about 592 as well. With that will bring the lot variance from 10, they require 10% up to the 11.7%. The other neighbors within this neighborhood have had to go in front of the board as well in order to get similar variances approved. And I'm only asking for 11.7% versus some of the higher teens that we've seen come across as well.
Okay. Now, in order to advance this application, what is your hardship because there's nothing written on your application.
Mhm. So discussing it with the town when dropping things off is, there's nothing a part of that lot that makes things the pool. I think it comes down to is the guidelines were put in place, and to go over those guidelines, I'm asking for that permission to do so. Much like the same of our neighbors that have had not hardships as well as far as the land goes for that.
I'm not quite sure how to digest that. I don't know. I'm making the assumption here that your land is not at a disadvantage. I didn't see anything when I did a drive-by. But basically, you have a clear backyard.
Correct.
And to one point, you're not going over the 10% by that much. It's not outrageous.
I am not with if you bring the pool out of it, I'm only at 10.8%. Yeah, you add the pool in, I'm at 11.7%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to do things the right way rather than just do it.
No, I hear you. The
I would have just done it.
the issue is legally, without a hardship, we really can't move forward. Okay.
I
Yeah,
think the
but-
hardship is the small amount of allowable surface in that neighborhood. That's been the problem all along up there.
That and Toll Brothers.
That and Toll Brothers. Yeah.
I mean, my budding neighbors have gone up to 17 and 19% with very similar conversations as well. And I'm only asking to go to 11.7.
But no, we understand that totally. I get what you're saying. And it's not that you're asking too much. And the problem is you have no hardship written down. And really somewhat by law, we need a hardship to grant anybody's variance.
With a hardship on the corner lot, my driveway has to be longer to accommodate for that.
It's a possibility we could do something with that. Like something has to be worded on the application for a hardship. Am I right, Maddie? Is that what you're trying to get
Yeah,
at?
well, that's even though it's not on the application, it would have to be at the very minimum on the tape. Okay, because we are recording, as it was announced at the beginning of this meeting, so that it is documented. All right. And how big is your lot, Phil?
It's 1.05 acres,
Okay.
Which is the average.
which is the average of almost every lot up here.
Now, does that include the conservation area?
That does, and the retaining pond.
Now, this is a question for Jeremy. Because of the conservation area, does that punish him?
It punishes him in the sense that he can't use the conservation area. He can't go into that
For the
easement.
10%?
Well, no, it gets calculated into the coverage. He just can't use that area.
It's of setbacks. He can't use it for setback. I mean, well, he
Right,
would
he
have to
can't-
stay normal setbacks off of that conservation.
Okay.
Yes. I will say again, this is just like almost every other lot in the subdivision, that once you get the house and the driveway paved, you're coming darn close to 10%. And this is something that we've been kicking around with P&Z, and it's been hung up just because we've had bad late long agendas. But we've got it as a discussion topic for July, and I think we'll have it resolved by August or so. But the trouble again is just the lot sizes compared to the 10% max coverage.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the hardship for I'm concerned.
Well, we could also use, he is on a corner lot and his driveway is larger than most everybody else. Because he's not coming within the setbacks, which is fantastic that he's not coming within setbacks. And he's got enough usable land to put the pool. It's just, why is it that to do anything on his property, he's gonna need a variance?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, why would he be here for that?
What's that?
Well, you're correct. Why would he be here if he doesn't need a variance?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, what I'm saying, like for anything, even to put a shed on his property, he's
Right.
gonna need a variance, and that's kind of a situation. It's a crappy situation. You know, to do anything on your property, you need a variance. That's crazy to think.
That's a hardship. That's a hardship.
Yep.
What's your thoughts, Jeremy?
I think one of the things, and this is one of the things that's been discussed before, is that part of the reason for having coverage limitations is about groundwater recharge, but it's also about stormwater runoff. And we've had discussions in the past about pools and the fact that they really don't increase stormwater runoff. The concrete paved area around the pool might. And so some suggestions have been given in the past about mitigating that. But the pool itself is the major factor in increasing the coverage here. And it's not a stormwater
Pervious.
issue.
It's not a pervious surface, you're saying?
Well, it's an impervious surface because if it weren't, you wouldn't have a pool. So it's considered
Right.
impervious coverage,
Impervious.
but it's not, water tends to go into those and then evaporate. They really don't. I've almost never seen an in-ground pool overflow.
Mm.
Impervious, yeah.
Right. So one question other than what we've just been talking about. Is there going to be some sort of border on this patio or anything like that? Phil?
There's going to be the deck, there's going to be the pool and the concrete around it. And then there's currently a fence up already around the whole perimeter of the back property. That's
So the shroud that's going to be going around this, will that be pervious or impervious?
That will be impervious. That will be stamped concrete.
Can you make it impervious?
You want my opinion on that?
Mm.
I'd love to give you my opinion on that. He's putting a fiberglass pool and he really wants to do stamped concrete.
Well,
And the reason, Brian?
Construction reasons, it's a stronger application around his pool.
I get that, but is it possible to make some of it pervious? There's always those little concrete thingies that you just
Oh,
put in.
and in addition to that, the stamped concrete will also match the front decking as well. So we would prefer not to, just as far as aesthetics going, having two different type of building materials. With blue deck out of place.
Well, the construction of it, it's much safer and stronger with the stamped concrete around the fiberglass pool.
Now, I have a son who has a pool he's been having problems with, so I
Yes.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, pavers would shift over time, which could result in cracking of the fiberglass as well.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with fiberglass pools, to be
It's
honest.
basically a big bathtub. I mean,
Either.
It's nothing but a hole in the ground this thing's dropped into? I mean,
it's a big
the
bathtub
soil-
to the ground.
the soil keeps it rigid, right?
Yep, it's the same way you would do a liner pool as well. It's just a big one piece. Yep.
Maddie, you're getting at possibly around the stamped concrete pad around the pool, doing some sort of like a drainage, almost like rain garden style to catch some water, to put water back in.
Well, I
so it
mean,
doesn't
could
run off.
could the, let's say, the cement be on a 1-degree angle so it runs off? I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna run off the pad. It should run away from the pool and off
Yeah.
into the
And
yard.
where is it gonna?
Okay, all right.
Surround it with river rock or something.
There is plans at the back to do trees and whole landscaping with rock and stuff too, if that would help.
Mhm.
That is part of our long-term plan.
The other thing is too, he doesn't have a large area of stamped concrete. It's just going around the pool,
Mhm.
which takes a lot of square footage up, but doesn't give you a lot of, it's not like a big,
Patio.
like a large patio, like a 40 by 40, drained off to one little area of the lawn. He's going all the way around the pool with 500 square feet. And you're talking, you could do that in 6 feet around. So it's shedding the water off all the way around the pool also. So the impacts of
Yeah.
a lot of water going to one specific area is a lot less in this situation.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you. So can anyone verbalize for the record what the hardship is in this particular case?
Can I ask a question before I answer something like that?
Yes.
Jeremy, the homeowner mentioned that he's on a corner lot and has a larger driveway than normal. Would that be, is that a way we could use and verbalize something as a hardship for him for this particular situation?
I'm looking at the site plan and I'm struggling with that one a little bit. I mean, the house is 65 feet back from the property line. Most of these houses are closer to 50 in that subdivision. So the corner lot really doesn't impact it though, because I'm looking at it and he's closer than 50 feet on that north side running out to Highland Terrace. So I'm not quite sure that's something that we should look at.
Okay.
Mhm.
This is where's the driveway? This is the driveway.
It's gotta be.
I mean, that's a huge driveway.
I don't know if that's the driveway. This Skyline Drive.
Driveway's here.
So Brian, do you have some sort of idea of what the hardship would be?
Um, Might take me a second. Do. You have any ideas, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, I think it's a similar sort of thing to what we've dealt with in this neighborhood before. It's, these lots are just barely more than the minimum lot size. And so once you get a normal sized house and a paved driveway, that's it. There's not much you can do without going above 10%. That's not a great way of wording it, but.
Okay. Is there some sort of limit on the square footage of a house? Not max, but minimum.
No.
So they
No,
could,
I mean, there's some minimums in the building code with regards to bedroom sizes and things like that, but it's very small and zoning cannot. It's been clarified in case law that zoning cannot regulate the minimum size of a house.
so like if I had like a 1 acre lot, the zoning wouldn't say I have to have like a 3,000 square foot house.
No.
Square foot house.
There are, I know that there are some covenants in the association or not the bylaws, but the association docs, the things that were filed for this subdivision. There is a minimum house size in that. That's regulated by the association, not zoning.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what that minimum size is, but it is pretty big. I want to say it's 22, maybe 100, maybe 2,200 square feet, something like that.
If I remember correctly, it was bigger when that all first started. It was actually larger, and it's gone down.
That could be.
There was some other regulations that when Skyline was first being built, there was some regulations with fencing, and you're not allowed to have fencing, and blah 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 blah. But I think a lot of that has changed now when the housing market kind of crashed.
Mhm. Okay, let me ask you this. To Phil and Jeremy. The house is 65 feet back. Okay, from Skyline Drive. Was that done for aesthetics on the lot? Because it
It's the-
seems to be relatively
Has nothing to do with it.
back
I see what you're saying.
from the side road going in, what I forget what that's called, but the road off Midwood Farm Road.
Highland.
Yeah,
I cannot answer that. I was not the original homeowner who built the house. So I cannot answer what the placement of that was.
So corner lots have 2 front setbacks and 2 side setbacks. So they have a 50-foot front requirement along both Highland and Skyline Drive. If you look at the building line, which is the dashed line, it's relatively close to the 50-foot setback along Highland,
yeah,
but it is further back than the majority of the houses in this neighborhood from the Skyline Drive side. Most of these houses are built pretty darn close to that front setback line at 50 feet. So the one thing that we could say is that while it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a corner lot, this driveway may in fact be a little bit longer, probably upwards of 15 feet longer than the majority of
There you
the
go.
houses on this street.
uh-huh.
It also looks like it might be a little bit wider than the 12 or 15 feet that's kind of the standard size for these driveways. So if you multiply the 12, let's say it's 15 feet longer, you know,
You're
what's
close
that?
to 200 square
18,
feet.
12 is 180, 200 square feet or so. So he's probably got somewhere of let's say close to 300 square feet extra pavement that most other houses in this neighborhood don't. It's also a side load garage. It's not a front load garage. That increases the amount of pavement as well,
Yeah,
because he's got to have a turnaround, which I mean, this probably was gravel when this as-built was done, but I'm assuming there's a turnaround of some kind up there.
Correct.
So that could be, we could use that, being that he is not that it has anything to do with the corner lot, but being that he is on a corner lot and being where the house is positioned, it added numerous square feet to the impervious surface, which is the asphalt surface, which is included in lot coverage. If he happened to be at the same 50-foot frontage off of Skyline, his driveway would be shorter and he wouldn't have as many square feet in the driveway. So he possibly could sneak right in with doing the pool and the
With no variance.
with no variance.
I would say that's a reasonable statement to make. Yeah.
So
I'm good with that.
okay. Does
I mean,
anyone,
all these
Well-
lots are 1.5 acres. I mean, all the lots are the same for the most part, within a few square feet. And there's other people up there putting pools in that without coming in to get variances. And what's the reasoning for that? You know,
Oh no,
And
I think they've all come in for variances
gonna say, yeah. Variance,
except for one.
yeah,
I think
one guy,
there's one up there that didn't need a variance, and that lot is just a tiny bit bigger, so they just snuck in under 10%.
and he's got a front loading garage. So
Yes,
his name
Right,
is
that
Mike.
helped.
Giuliano's just did his pool. I think it was Giuliano's that did it. And
yeah.
he's got a front loading garage. He's got a shorter driveway. It's wide. It's a 2-car wide, but you know, and there's no way it's 60 feet up from the road or 80 feet up from the road. So being that he's got I think the driveway has a lot to do with this. I think we should use that as
Definitely.
some sort of a hardship for him to
Mhm.
allow this to go through.
okay, so could you say what the hardship is, just for the record, so it's clear?
Me, Maddie,
Yes,
I would like to add in as a hardship that due to the fact that the house is positioned further back from Skyline Drive than most of the houses in the area, that it has added square footage to his impervious driveway, which is giving more lot coverage to his property, and without that, wouldn't need a variance for his pool in patio installation.
Okay. Now, does everyone on our board agree with that?
Yes.
Yes,
I agree. Margaret,
yes,
Kevin?
Yeah,
Okay. Mr. Healy, excuse me.
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
I do. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is there any more discussion on this application?
I have nothing.
None? Okay.
I'm also.
nothing for
Alrighty.
me.
All right, then I will entertain a motion to accept or reject this application.
Before you do that, we do have a member of the public that jumped on, so I just want to make sure.
Okay, I didn't think, well, I can't see on my screen.
No, I know. That's why I'm
Yeah.
telling you. So if there's a person out there that wants to speak, just use the raise your hand feature. All right, I don't see any hands going up.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of,
You gotta make a
oh, can I
motion.
have a motion? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm-
I'm
I
way
make a
ahead.
motion. I make a motion that we accept this application with the notes in the record that we use, we add in the hardship about the larger than normal driveway, which added to his lot coverage.
Okay. And once again, I will call on everyone individual.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
that motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Kevin.
I second.
Okay, Kevin, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay? Brian, yay or nay?
Yay.
George? Yay
I'm a
or
yay.
nay? George,
I'm a yay.
yay? Margaret, you're a yay, you said?
Yay,
Okay, and I am yay also, so that is unanimous. And I want everyone to know I used to smoke Camels and cigars. And when I'm in prison after this, you can send them to me, okay, everyone?
Thank you, everyone.
Non-filters or filters?
Campbell's never had filters.
No.
Mhm. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Have a good one. Okay, next on the agenda is new business. And my question was already been addressed at the links to the members didn't get out, and Jeremy had addressed that. So is there any new business to be taken up?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
nothing for me.
Mr. Senate, are you still on? Jim?
He's on.
He's in. Can you get a handle on of understanding of what we have to go through with lot coverage on pools?
Jim, if you want to speak, you just got to unmute yourself.
Okay. I understand what is involved, and Jeremy mentioned that it'll be taken up
Yeah,
maybe this next meeting.
yeah, it's really a dilemma.
It's a dilemma, but we also have to consider the lot coverage because we're having a lot of trouble with drainage with the lake.
No, I fully understand. Okay. Any more new business? Anyone? Okay, old business?
Nope.
And if not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Okay, can I have a second, please?
Second,
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, and have a good night, everyone.
Happy 4th of July, and remember, there's no July meeting. We'll see you in August, and we'll be in person if it's a heavy agenda.
You got it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.